Welcome to Crimson Earth News. I'm Sam Kennedy, and coming up on tonight's protest special, we have a report from demonstrations outside the Libyan embassy. Also, we have an interview with members of the pro-democracy vigil outside the Zimbabwean embassy. Finally, we speak to an Iranian dissident about upcoming demonstrations in Iran. First, a special report with Sam Kennedy. I'm here at the Libyan embassy in London. It's calm here, despite the growing crowd of protesters and sympathisers. They're here to call an end to the 4-decade rule of the mad dog dictator of a North African country. The scene is very different in the Libyan capital Tripoli today, after a speech made by Gaddafi yesterday. Speaking from a historic fort overlooking Green Square, Colonel Gaddafi told his supporters to defend the nation. He said, at a suitable time, we will open the arms depot to all Libyans and tribes so they can become armed, so that Libya becomes red with fire. Despite these threats and sustained violent action, there were protesters on the streets of Tripoli and in other cities yesterday believed to be controlled by forces loyal to Gaddafi. UN sources say 1,000 people have died so far in the 10 days of civil unrest. How high the number of dead rises will be decided by the resilience and stubbornness of protesters and loyalists alike. Mr. Sam Kennedy.
يا اخوة ألف السكوت واسمعونا يا اخوة لو سمحتوا يا اخوان اسمعونا جميعا. حنكرر يا جلال، حنكرر يا اخوات رجاء تكلمنا مع البوليس، قالوا لنا ارجو من كل ليبي هذا موجود او غير ليبي متظاهر.
Thank you, Sam. Meanwhile, the Zimbabwean vigil met once more outside their country's embassy in central London today to call for democratic change. Here's our correspondent with more. The people of Zimbabwe have watched the protests in North Africa with bated breath. First Tunisia, then Egypt. Now many Zimbabwean eyes are locked on the events in Libya, perhaps eager for a chance to overthrow their autocrat. Robert Mugabe and his ZANU-PF party are also watching. 46 people were detained on Wednesday for attending a lecture entitled Revolt in Egypt and Tunisia, What Lessons Can Be Learned from Zimbabwe and Egypt. The group has been charged with seeking to overthrow President Robert Mugabe by copying the protests which toppled the leaders of Egypt and Tunisia. There is a protest against Mugabe that cannot be silenced by his henchmen, here in the heart of London. I'm standing outside the Zimbabwean embassy, and just over there is a protest that has been happening every Saturday since October 2002. The vigil will continue until internationally monitored, free and fair elections are held in Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwe vigil is here, they say, to protest against gross violations of human rights by the current regime in Zimbabwe.
My name is Abigail Zimane. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm here for it's called the Vigil. We meet here every Saturday. It's sort of a campaign against the violation of human rights in Zimbabwe. So we desire to see an end to this. So it's our way of expressing ourselves that we are not happy with the Zimbabwean situation. So we are not going to stop the gathering until we see a real change in Zimbabwe.
My name is Ella Meyer. If you are looking at me right now and listening to me, Mr. Mugabe, the message I'll send to you is just get off that seat and don't be like a coward like Mr. Gaddafi.
Thank you, Sam. In North Africa will have on their own grip of power. The state of Iran is included. Our correspondent spoke to a man who has seen and experienced the fearsome control of the Iranian regime and lived to tell the tale.
Reza, and I am Iranian dissident in this country.
Actually, a new wave of demonstration is started in Iran since 2 weeks ago, and we want to show our solidarity with the Iranian inside Iran. We are the supporters of PMOI, People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, who is the main opposition in Iran against the Ayatollahs. Obviously, the situation in Libya and Iran and the other countries is different. We have our own challenges, they have their own challenges. In Iran, we are dealing with a dictatorship religious regime, which is different, from the others. The Egyptians had a good chance, to get rid of their dictator within a few weeks, but in Iran, we must pay a big price, to get rid of this regime, because this is a very, very tyrannic and oppressive regime.
Thank you. It's goodbye from me, Sam Kennelly. That was Crimson Earth News.